when we make things, and we're coming to learn that a lot of those chemicals are a lot more toxic than we realize. So that's part of it. As far as what happened in Flint is actually the challenge. I think there's 3 pieces to Flint. One is the lack of investment in infrastructure. Number 2 is emergency manager, because there wasn't oversight, there wasn't accountability. People say, well, the city council voted for it. They were told that there isn't, when you have an emergency manager, you don't have say on what you're going to do. So that was the other thing. And then the final piece is transparency and accountability, to your point that we need to have more transparency. And so that would also be like the dioxin thing. That's why we had tried to have the town hall when they've been talking about changing the standards, the parts per billion, since 2010, and they finally did it. So it's a very frustrating situation. So we are keeping on top of it. They're going to continue to monitor it. I would expect that if they identify that this is continuing to move significantly, that there will be a much more effort to clean up. But I will tell you, in this state, we've done a lot of manufacturing. We have a lot of contamination, and a lot of it can get in the groundwater. So it has to happen in Saline. There's underground gas tanks that the money that was supposed to go to finish cleaning them up was dried up, and there's no new money. I just think there's a big challenge there with all the environmental contamination that we have. So
we've been kicking the can down the road for a generation now.
And I think there's a lot of different alternatives to water. I basically feel that clean water should be taken for granted in this state, and that in this country that everybody should be able to go to their faucet and drink clean water out of their faucet. But I think there's different ways to get to that, and I think we need to be creative on how to get there. And so I've actually been talking to a lot of different people, a lot of different technologies. There's a lot of different technology out there. So I think there'll be other alternatives as we move forward to address the water situation. But I don't know how much you all have read, but the lead in the water is a huge problem for our kids. Again, we go back to the kids in the older urban areas. These public schools, their water fountains are lead.
Sure they do.
But the fact that
But wait, I don't think there's enough information going out about how dangerous. See, I work for chemicals. How dangerous the lead is, and things like that. What I mean is that I was talking to someone in church, and I said something about the lead in the water. I said, pray for Flint. This was when it first came on, and there wasn't a lot on it, but as soon as I found out and she said, why? And I said, because lead is very dangerous to a newborn or that. And I don't want to name her, but what I meant is there just isn't enough in like our millimeter, or even I think the school should, I hate to say it, but if the kids are in 6th or 7th grade, someone should come in and talk to the kids about the level of lead, and they can take it home to mom and dad, because so many people don't get a myelin paper or
right.
But I just could not believe that this lady didn't even know what lead was doing. And
yeah, that's a shame.
Yes, and I mean, this was when it first came up. I said, at church, I said, pray for the people of Flint.
Well, the kids in particular. I mean, this all goes back. At the end of the day, what we're leaving for our children is really challenging in a lot of ways. So that's what I'm really concerned about.
History shows that if you get water wrong, you die. As a community, as a culture, if you get water wrong,
that's a good
you
point.
die. Yeah. And back in the day, after '72 with the Clean Water Act, we had a governor in the state of Michigan, Bill Milliken, who was He was from money up in Traverse City, logging, and he went out of his way to help create one of the best environmental environments. Michigan had a beacon to the rest of the country. We had standards in Michigan for clean water, for waste handling.
Did he ruin, I can't get
for
you to, did he ruin it or did he help it?
build it.
He made it
built
good.
it.
He made it good. You know why?
So much.
Because this is water is our best asset. Besides our people, and then we're taking it for granted. That's the problem. And that's the one thing that we should be. Besides our people, water is our. I think besides our people, water is our best asset, and we are totally taking it for granted. We're using it, we're polluting it, and we're dumping it in injection wells. I mean, those are things that we shouldn't be doing. Because I was a commercial realtor back starting in 2003 to. Well, I still have my license, but I'm not practicing right now. But I went as far as Germany to bring business to Michigan, and I would just tell people, in 20 years, we're going to have all the water. Our agriculture industry, we are the second largest agriculture for product diversity in the country. The first is California. California doesn't have any water. So guess what? We're in a really good position. But we need to protect our water. We need to do a better job. The rules have been very much.
We're the second what?
Most diverse state for agriculture product in the country. And that's our second largest economic sector, so it's very important. Agriculture is actually doing really well.
Well, is the fertilizers and that?
Yeah, that's a whole. So that's a big issue, right? Because I don't know if you heard Monroe with the algae blooms in Lake Erie. That's a big issue, and that is a constant problem right now. The only reason that it doesn't occur every summer is because the currents and the wind. If the currents and the wind work right, then there's no problem with algae blooms, but they're still there. And if they don't come out, like if they don't have the right winds and current, they're going to have another problem.
Well, I just can't admit what I meant is I was working with cyanide. Well, I tested for everything, and I'm talking 60 years ago. And where
But so I think you're talking about the straight discharges to the water, but that's not what the problem is. I used to work with this stuff. I still write about it sometimes. A lot of it just simply comes off the land. It's dumped on the land. Fertilizer washes it.
Yeah.
You change oil in your driveway. That oil eventually washes down into Lake Erie. It goes into the ditches and stuff. People don't realize that, they say, well, we cleaned up all the pollution from the 60s, 50s.